Heads up, I get very real in this video, so skip ahead if you want to see that, or at the break on there, stop watching if you don't want to see that.
This video is sponsored by Mox Boarding House.
So I have an hour or a few hours free this afternoon between appointments, and I was torn between filming today's video or continuing to paint my Talarn that I'm having a really fun time doing. I've got a lot of little models that I really just want to sink my teeth into. But then I realized I don't have to choose. I can do both. I can just paint while talking to you guys about this. I don't think you'll mind. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna paint little guys while I'm chatting with you. This video is going to be kind of two-part. The first part is going to be a recap of the Portland RTT that I did last weekend. The second part is going to be kind of some self-realization that I had while I was there. And if you're interested in that, based off of the title and the thumbnail of this video, I'm going to have a chapter link in the video's description below. But yeah, first we're going to just talk about the tournament itself. What am I painting? The tournament was 3 rounds, which I think is pretty typical for an RTT. It's been a while since I've been in that tournament scene, but I've gone to a couple tournaments recently, which has been really fun. I had a great time. It was really fun. It was great traveling to another state. I got to see a couple friends while I was down there. I got to meet Rick from Noobhammer, and that was fun. It was nice meeting him in person. We've done a couple of collaboration videos. But yeah. The tournament itself, it took place at a real nice, golf course. It started really early, dice was at 9 o'clock. So I stayed at my buddy's downtown. I had to get up and make coffee, and I forgot deodorant, and that's an unkind thing to do when you're gonna be in a room full of 25 other people. So, oops, sorry everybody who was there. Lovely venue, very open, a lot of natural light. The guys who hosted it are very cool. I'm gonna try to get their information. I forgot to grab it while I was there, and I'm gonna try to link it below because they're trying to set up a big sort of Pacific Northwest tournament circuit so that people, mostly in Oregon, can start playing very regularly. But it was fun enough that I think I might go back. I might go back, and I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. But for the tournament itself, here's a link to my list, the army that I brought. There were some pretty dick-stompy lists there, which was kind of nice to see. You read about all these really powerful factions in the meta and all these strategies that people use, and it was nice to actually see them played, because most of the time it's just armchair theorizing. But I played against Knights, which obviously is not one of the meta factions. I played against Orc Speedwa, which is, and he had the ruck trucks and everything. And I played against Adeptus Mechanicus with 2 flyers and 60 Scutari, which that was an interesting match. But I'll just start from the top. The Knight match was against one of the tournament organizers, and he said he was just there to have fun, throw his big robots around, stomp stuff, and shoot stuff, which I totally respect. That was a really fun match. Playing against Knights is tricky because I don't have a lot of anti-tank, and so I just played the objectives. I just tried my hardest, and I only end up killing 1 Knight throughout the entire game. And so I just played the objectives, moved around, avoided him as much as I could, kept some Terminators in cover, and only engaged him when I absolutely had to. My choices of secondaries, which in this instance were Purifying Ritual, Engage on all fronts, and Titan Slayer, Killer, Titan Crusher, which didn't give me a lot of points. But the other 2 did, and just primaries, I was able to take the game entirely. And we actually finished pretty quick, which was nice, because I mentioned in the last video that they promised us tacos at this thing. Specifically, Rick promised me tacos at this thing, and there were no tacos. There was some complication. They couldn't end up getting tacos at the event, so there was no infinite tacos. Instead, they did buy a bunch of pizzas, which was cool. I forgot my wallet at my friend's house while I was there, so I couldn't run down the street to get anything. So my food that day was an entire Domino's pizza and like free coffee. So that's how that went. But that was nice. That was very nice. So anyway, I got to chill out after that game, and my second round was against Orcs. I have not played new Orcs yet until this match, and he brought 2 of the War Boss on Squigosaurs, I think is what they're called. The Beast Snaga War Boss who rides on top of the really sick, like, land sharks. But he powered those guys up so much that they had... Their invuln was ridiculous. They had a feel no pain and -1 damage just latently, and like they were unstoppable. And he declared a Wa in turn 1, so he was able to advance and charge a lot, and he had extra attacks. And I got a couple of fun like kickbacks where I deep striked, and I was able to get my Terminators in to start retaliating for his turn 1 kill against all of my Dread Knights. But my god, I just got destroyed in that match. Absolutely obliterated. Ugh. It was a gross one. But yeah, the guy was really cool though. He really knew his army. He played it very, very well, and I'm glad to have faced him. It was nice to face against one of those meta lists. And also to know that, I mean, I'm sure you guys saw the rules data slate update this week. It changed both of my matches so far. In fact, now I think about it, it changed all of the matches I would have had. The Knights would have had OBSEC, and that would have made that a lot harder. And this gentleman that I faced off against the second round would have had less Ruck Truck Squeak Buggies, which would have been kind of nice. He also would have been able to bring less stuff, because I think Orc points went up as well. Took a break for lunch, hung out with Rick, who that was his first tournament, and that was a good time. But ate more pizza, drank more coffee, which was my entire day. And my third match, I was up against AdMech, as I already said. 2 of the non-transport flyers with just the D3+3 las cannons on them. So many Skitarii. He was running Mars. He had so many characters. And that's kind of when I hit my point, like my philosophical sort of like emotional exhaustion point that I'll talk about in a minute. It was a thing. But the game started. I chose Assassination because he had 5 characters. But I've played against AdMech a couple times, Toby, thank you, and I knew that he would be hiding them all. So I knew I had to get through his AdMech bricks, or his Skitarii bricks, as quickly as I could. I ignored the flyers for the most part, and just started throwing Storm Bolters and Mortal Wounds into the Skitarii, who have a 2-up save for a large part of the game, and it's obscene how good they are. But he played very defensively. We maneuvered such with his flyers and with his little Sulfur Hound things, except not the Sulfur Hounds, the other dogs, whatever they're called. And my Deep Strikers and my teleporting, we maneuvered such that neither of us the entire game got any primary points at all. There wasn't, because it was domination, so you needed to control 2 minimum, and there wasn't a single point in the entire game that either of us controlled 2 objectives, because because all the objectives were in the none of them were in the none of them were in the deployment zone. So we had to go claim them all. And he was too scared in the first round to leave his deployment zone, and I just didn't have the bodies to spare if I was going to destroy all his characters. So it became pretty apparent pretty early on that neither of us were playing the primary game, and we couldn't unless we wanted to give up like significant assets. So I just pushed in, which was very hard to get through all that Skitarii. But there was one point, the judges were going around telling everyone that there was only like 20 minutes left of the game. And there was one point, we were on turn 4, and he took his turn, and he moved all of his characters and his remaining models, he moved all of his characters into the corner and surrounded them with some of the Sulfur Hounds and his few remaining Skitarii, because he knew I wanted to get at his characters, but I have to get through this wall. And I looked at that, and I looked at my command points. I saw I had 3 left, and I was just like, Silence bombardment. Yes, a Silence is going right there. And he put all his characters in the corner. I spent 3 CP on my turn, put the point in the middle of them, and he has a turn to get away from it at that point. Silence, you choose a point, and they get to move, and then on my next command phase, boom, and we see what happens there. But that was my plan. Put him there, flush him out, and then my Terminators and my remaining Dread Knight would finish him off, because his characters couldn't stand up against Terminators. They just couldn't. He knew I was planning that, so we moved the Sulfur Hounds aside, moved his characters just out of range. To make a wall between his characters and my Terminators, he moved one of his Archaeocopter things in front of his characters, and it was on 3 wounds. And so my Terminators simply weren't going to be able to, like, it was, base was big enough that I wasn't going to be able to get around it. And it was a vehicle, so I couldn't shoot them or anything. But my command phase comes around. The Silence goes off, destroys the Archaeocopter, which then explodes, kills 2 of his characters, leaves the others mortally wounded, and my turn 5 comes around, and I just mop up. And in the end, it's just like 5 of my Terminators and a single Skitarii Vanguard. I had tabled him, and I won 37 to like 34 or something like that, because neither of us got primaries the entire game. And I was so stoked. He was excited because it was a cool moment. The fact that the Silence, the orbital strike from the Indemnity, Samandus called it down to finish off the foe, and it was such a cool moment, especially with what is largely considered not a great stratagem. It was awesome. It was excellent. Couldn't have asked for a better ending to it. Especially, like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, I tabled Admech, which feels kind of cool. But yeah, that was the way the tournament ended. It was on a really, really good note. I went 2-1. I think I ended up in the top 10, but I mean, I got bodied by orcs, so there was no way I was coming out on top of that. But it was a great time. Strongly recommend checking them out. Again, I'm going to try to find their organization, link it below. But that brings me to the latter points. I mentioned this a little bit ago that I hit a point of mental exhaustion after facing the orc list, and then seeing the Skitarii list I was facing. I'm not a competitive player. I play Warhammer all the time. I love playing Warhammer. I absolutely do. Warhammer consumes my life. I got some stuff to announce, by the way, soon. Not in this video, but soon, and you'll see more of why I say that Warhammer consumes my life. But the competitive aspect of it doesn't interest me. And I almost feel a sort of dissonance there, like a separation from the game as a whole. People talk about nerfs and point costs and viable units and strategies, and these few recent tournaments I've been to, I realized I just don't care about any of that. Guard are terrible right now, and I'm spending hours this week painting up like a 500-point guard list. They're not good. I'm bringing missile launchers because I think they look rad. I built some Sentinels and put multi-lasers on them because I was reading about Talarn's fluff, and the Talarn tend to put multi-lasers on. Multi-lasers is a terrible weapon. But I sat there and I talked to my friends about it and was like, what weapon should I put on here? And they had a lot of really good suggestions, but I realized none of that matters to me. I just don't... And this is probably going to lose me some viewers because my chief, thing that I present to you is battle reports, but I don't care about winning. It doesn't matter. I play this game because I want to see my little silver warriors slay monsters. I want to face Tyranids and see how long my guys can last against a powerful, super well built hive tyrant. I like building stories against my brother's Chaos Marines. I like bringing strangers onto my channel and playing against armies that I've never played against before. But not because I'm God, I want to beat them. I need to optimize my guys. I legitimately don't care about winning. It doesn't matter to me. And I'm super okay with that. I just really like playing this game. I really like the lore. I really love painting. I love my little guys. And if I get to go to an event like this, put down some Terminators, they shoot some Skitarii off the table, and they get to do a silence bombardment, like that's so cool. I love that. I love the idea of Semandus having traveled like to a system that he's never been to before and fighting a rogue Mechanicus sect and having to like glass the surface from orbit. Like, it's a story I want to tell. If I had lost that game, I wouldn't care. Like, the game against orcs, I got destroyed, and the guy was really competitive, and I was playing my best, but I don't have stories from that one. I don't know. Sometimes people, most of you are great. Sometimes people comment on the videos saying, like, it feels like you're taking bad lists on purpose. I'm not taking bad lists on purpose. I'm taking lists that I think are cool, and that I think have a theme, and that I think are fun. Hell, before the 9th edition codex, I would never bring Grandmasters in the same detachment, because why would Grandmasters be on the same battlefield together? There's 8 of them in the entire galaxy. So that kind of stuff, that restriction, I love that flavorful kind of restriction. Don't get me wrong, competitive play is fun. It just isn't why I'm in this game. It isn't why I'm in this hobby. I want to keep painting. I want to keep building. I want to keep playing fun games. And all this is to say, I think I'm going to take the channel in a much more narrative direction. I think I'm going to be very upfront about the fact that I'm not building this to win, but to tell a story. I'll still play like competitive games, but I might label them differently. Who knows? I don't know. There was a crystallizing moment where I realized the things that I love out of 40K, I don't get in these tournaments, except for moments like at the end of that AdMech game, which was so cool. And also the community. Don't get me wrong. I loved meeting a lot of people at this event. It was really fun. Bumped into a dude who was like, hey, yeah, I've been watching your channel recently. You're the reason I got into Grey Knights. And he had one of the 5 Dread Knights, 20 Interceptors lists. But it was cool. He recognized me. That made me feel really good. Yeah. Anyway, probably most of this doesn't interest any of you. I understand if you watch these channels for these sorts of competitive games. I'm sorry. I've been playing Grey Knights since the beginning of 8th edition. It's been so weird in recent months to see people. I don't know if you guys read like the new data slate thing, but everybody on the internet is talking about with the AdMech Drakarian Orc nerfs, Grey Knights might be rising to the top as the best faction. And I don't care. I don't care. The only thing I care about is that it means I'm going to have, maybe I'll have more attention on my channel, which would be really cool. I like that a lot. But yeah, good or bad, optimized or not, meta or not, I'm going to keep on playing Grey Knights. I'm going to keep on painting Grey Knights. And I'll just keep having fun with them. I'm just going to keep playing this game and painting minis and talking about things that really interest me. And I appreciate every one of you for being here. If you watched this video as far as you have, thank you so much. You're one of those special people who makes this all worthwhile and makes me really excited to do these kinds of things and share my love of this hobby with you. So that's about that. Thanks, everyone. Genuinely, this is really fun. I love doing this kind of thing, and I love sharing it with you. So thank you for being here, and thank you for watching this video. Links to Patreon and stuff if you're interested in helping me fuel this hobby that I love so much. But yeah, take care, everyone.